86 The teachings of the Lord of the Second Coming. 7.2 The progress of history. In the age of the prolongation of the providence of restoration. 7.2.1 The providence of restoration and the history of the West. The Roman Empire, which had persecuted Christianity, finally knelt before the crucified Jesus in the 4th century, and adopted Christianity as the state religion. Nevertheless, the original providential role of the Roman Empire, which had unified the ancient world around the Mediterranean Sea, was to lay the foundation for Christ's kingdom on earth. Had the Jewish people believed in Jesus as the Messiah and united with him, the Roman Empire would have been won over by Jesus during his lifetime. Jesus would have been honored throughout the empire as the King of Kings. He would have established a worldwide dominion, with Jerusalem as its capital. However, because the Jewish people disbelieved, Judea was destroyed, and the Roman Empire was fated to decline. After a century of barbarian invasions, the Western Roman Empire came to an end in 476 A.D. In this manner, the center of God's providence of restoration shifted from Judea, the land of God's bitter grief, to Western Europe, formerly the territory of the Western Roman Empire, now occupied by the Germanic tribes. Accordingly, the spiritual providence of restoration based on Christianity has been conducted primarily in Western Europe. Only in Western Europe has the history of this era progressed strictly according to the pattern set by the providence of restoration. 21 The history of Christianity in Western Europe provides us with information about the events which shaped the age of the prolongation of the providence of restoration. 7.2.2 The mutual relations between religious history, economic history, and political history. To enable human beings to rule both the spirit world and the physical world, God created them as the dual entities of spirit self and physical self. 22 Had human beings not fallen, their spirit self and physical self would have reached perfection together. Their spiritual intellect and physical intellect would have joined in complete harmony during earthly life. After human beings fell and became ignorant of both the spiritual and physical worlds, God worked to overcome spiritual ignorance through religion, and physical ignorance through science. 23. Religions have helped fallen people gradually overcome their spiritual ignorance. By stimulating their latent original mind to activity, they have been teaching people to focus their lives on the invisible, causal world of God. Since not everyone feels an immediate need for religion, only a few exceptional people attain spiritual knowledge rapidly. For the vast majority, spiritual growth remains a slow process. We see this from the fact that even today, with religions widespread throughout the world, people's spiritual level is often no better than that of people in ancient times. On the other hand, everyone is familiar with the findings of science, which have greatly enhanced our knowledge of the physical world. Since science deals with practical matters, everyone feels a strong need for it. Thus, the increase in humankind's knowledge of the physical world has generally been widespread and rapid. Furthermore, while the objects of religious study are in the intangible, transcendent world of cause, scientific research examines tangible, material objects in the world of result. Hence, to this day, religion and science remain theoretically irreconcilable. Moreover, because Satan, who holds sovereignty over the universe, attacks and corrupts people through their life in the world, religions teach one to deny the world. As such, religions cannot easily harmonize with science, which seeks to improve life in the world. We know that in the beginning, God created the outward physical body of human beings, before imbuing them with their inner spirit. 24 The providence of restoration, which is a work of recreation, follows the same pattern, from the external to the internal. From this providential perspective, it is evident that during their course of development, religion and science are often at variance, even in conflict. 25 The same discord is found in the relationship between people's religious and economic life. Like science, economic activities deal with the practical world. Indeed, economic progress bears a close relationship to the development of science. Accordingly, religious history, based on the internal development of God's providence, and economic history, based on the external development of His providence, have taken divergent directions and have progressed at different rates. Therefore, to grasp the progress of the history of the West, which has followed the pattern set by God's providence of restoration, we must examine the history of Christianity and Western economic history separately. As with the relationship between religion and science, religion and economy are related in that they are responsible for restoring the internal and external aspects of fallen people's lives. Although religion and economy, like religion and science, seem to develop at variance with each other, they are related in the life of society. Thus, there has been some mutual influence between the history of Christianity and economic history. religion and economy are integrated with our life. In society through politics, especially in Western Europe, politics has sought to connect economic development, which has closely followed the progress of science, with the path of Christianity, which has often lacked a clear sense of its providential direction. Western political history has pioneered a path through which to harmonize religion and economy. Therefore, to accurately grasp the progress of history, as it moves toward the goal of the providence of restoration, we must also investigate separately the history of politics, as an illustration of how the courses of religious, political and economic development have progressed separately. Let us sketch the historical situation of Western Europe toward the end of the 17th century. With respect to the history of religion, democratic values had already taken root in the Christianity of this period. Christianity of a monarchic polity under the rule of the papacy had fragmented with the Protestant Reformation in 1517. The people of Europe, whose life of devotion in medieval times had been subject to the papal hierarchy, were gradually liberated to lead a Christian life based on their own reading of the Bible. With regard to the politics of this period, absolute monarchy was at its height. Economically, feudal society based on the manor system persisted in many parts of Europe. Thus, the same European society was becoming democratic with respect to religious life while remaining monarchic with respect to political life and feudal with respect to economic life. We also should clarify why the development of history through most of the Old Testament age was not characterized by this pattern of separate development. In ancient Israel, the progress of science was extremely slow, hence, its economic life did not develop, and its society had little specialization. The people led a simple life under a social system, in which religion was an integral part of their daily life, bound by master-servant relationships, and the strict code of the Mosaic Law. They had to obey their rulers in matters both political and religious. In that age, religion, politics and economy did not progress separately.